Then why do I perceive what you're saying? There's no source for the unwanted. Why do I perceive the unwanted if there's no source for the unwanted?
Well, what we mean by that, you are the source of the unwanted. Your thought is the source of the unwanted. You're beating the drum of unwanted is the source of the unwanted. You're getting the momentum going. You're activating the thought, which is the source of the unwanted. But what we mean when we say there's no source of the unwanted is that there's no source like as in God's source. In other words, there's this source of well-being, but there's not a source of evil. There's God, but there is no devil, is what we mean. Man is the creator of all that is unwanted, and you explore it here in this physical environment. But we want to come round to helping you understand that in that variety there is only value. So you want us to say, well, then if there is only value, then there nothing is ever going wrong, and we'll go along with you on that. We want to say that too. We want to say that too. So let's proceed then. There is one. So there is one thought, and let's call it God. And then let's assume that all of us are part of that, so we are still one. And now we are exploring, and we are focused upon pure positive energy, so we're still all one, and we're still good from the standpoint of what you're talking about. And now a part of that consciousness is born into a physical experience. And you got to ask why. Because if I was pure positive energy, then why would I expose myself to any contrast? We say, because from that broader non-physical perspective, you knew that the more would be accomplished by the exploration of more variety. In other words, you knew that by exploring the physical, which is the leading edge, by the way, this physical place with all that is here is the leading edge. So as you're exploring this variety and coming to yet new conclusions, that which you want to call source, which is the one, has expanded. So you're right. Source is pure positive energy, flows here, flows to you, you're exploring, and source becomes more as a result of what you have explored and discovered and concluded and decided and wanted. But now the duality is introduced by human, by physical, who is not now able to keep up to speed with the expansion that he has accomplished. So then your premise sort of sounds like it says, well, then we shouldn't have come, because if we can't keep up to speed with the expansion, then we've introduced an unnecessary duality. We say, yeah, you did, but it's not one that you can't overcome, and it's not one that didn't give you benefit, because that duality that you are unhappy about caused an expansion of the universe, which you now have the ability, through focus, to come back into alignment with the one about. And you're right, it does feel really good to come into alignment with the one. But the one that you're talking about is the one that came forth into the contrast. In other words, the contrast is not a bad thing, it's just choices, you see. That's really what we're wanting. When we say there's no source of badness and there's no source of darkness, we really mean that. There is a source of contrast, and the contrast is all about expansion. But we think it's the evaluation, we think it's the judgment that you are making about what the contrast is that is making you want to call it a duality that you don't want to embrace. And we promise you, you want to embrace everything about this physical experience. You would far rather have exposure to a lot of variety for the purpose of your and our expansion than you would want to just be born into a feathered nest. Humans don't know that when they haven't gained control of their thoughts. If you haven't gained control of your thoughts, if you don't know about vibration, if you don't know what your guidance system is telling you, then sometimes you do want to sort of close yourself off in the neighborhood that has walls around it, or in a neighborhood that has a gate up that you need a code to get into. Or you might want to just hang around with people that you trust, or put your children only in the schools that you believe are the safest. In other words, if you don't know about your ability to navigate among all of this contrast by striking a vibrational pose that equals your point of attraction that brings you only what you want, then we can see why you would have a problem with there being things that you don't want to see. But when you come into alignment with this knowing, then the variety thrills you. It never frightens you. It inspires you. It never makes you feel guarded. It uplifts you. It never makes you feel like you need to manage it or defeat it. when you come into that wholeness, is a better word than oneness, into that wholeness of who you are, the wholeness of who you are and the wholeness of the frequency that you are, then you become like source. You get such a synergy of pure positive energy going that anything that doesn't match it bounces off. And that's why that which is good is dominant. So dominant that the word dominant doesn't even do it. The word dominant's not big enough to describe the dominance of well-being.